So the story begins on a bus where two friends, Raghu and Raghav, got on without tickets and were happy about it. Today was going to be a day that would completely change Frank Vega's life. But before that, let's take a glimpse into his childhood. Frank Vega used to live in a village with his parents. During that time, he lived a very ordinary life. But sometimes it feels like ordinary lives are the best. Just work, eat, and sleep. That's what Frank used to think. Now, a little grown up, he started sitting in the fields with his girlfriend in the morning. He loved his girlfriend very much. He had no idea how such a beautiful and attractive girl fell for him because he wasn't even popular or famous. He didn't even follow Einstein. But still, he didn't know how he fell in love with her. The girl wanted her boyfriend to not join the army because she didn't want him to be far away. But due to unemployment, he had to join the army out of compulsion. Then, in 1967, he fought in the Vietnam War, which America fought recklessly. Many people died in that war. America thought it was a superpower and would easily defeat Vietnam, but instead of winning, America came back defeated. Fortunately, Frank Vega survived, and then he became a Baba, wise man, and reached his girlfriend. That's when two cute little girls came out and started greeting Baba. So now, with his broken heart, Frank went to the police academy, but seeing his long hair, they chased him away. He went for different interviews, but again, they rejected him when they saw his hair. In one interview, they even told him that if he cuts his hair, they might consider accepting him. But Frank firmly said to keep his job and he'll keep his hair. When he couldn't find any other means of income, he started selling dumplings, and while selling them, he lost track of when his life slipped away from his hands. He didn't realize when his life slipped away, not from under his hands, but from under his feet. Anyway, apart from alcohol, his life had nothing else. Then let's come back to the present, where Raghu and Raghav were causing trouble in the bus. They started bothering an old man, but the old man wasn't afraid of anything. He even licked Raghu. They were about to let go of the old man when Frank grabbed his hand and asked him to sit in the back. This hurt their ego. It means they felt bad deep down. But what did they know? Frank had spent 6 years in Vietnam. He gave them both a break of just 15 seconds, and the people sitting on the bus started filming them. That video spread on social media like wildfire, and Frank became famous. No one used to ask him before, and now everyone became his fan. People started calling him a badass. Badass means crazy. It's not Jenda, bull, but Jenda, ball. Now he became so famous that even the police started giving him a ride home, and people even handed him their weapons. He even had an interview where he sat with his mom. His mom was so happy when she came in front of the camera, just like our moms. But unfortunately, her happiness didn't last long. Then he started living with his friend Nick, and they used to drink together and live their lives openly. Being a Guru Randhawa also had its advantages. One day, his friend Nick became emotional. He didn't have a place to stay, but still, Frank kept him with him. And not only that, he even introduced him to free alcohol. Frank was easy on him, so he gave him a flash drive that had no idea what it was and how to use it. He didn't know that either, but Nick said that one day he would learn to use it. In reality, there were many documents inside that drive that Nick had stolen from a gang. After that, Nick started disappearing at night, and that's when goons named Terrence and Sebastian attacked him, and Nick was killed in the attack. Frank had only one dog left in his family. He went to a general store to buy alcohol, but he didn't have enough money. He asked the shopkeeper for credit, but the shopkeeper refused. At that moment, some robbers entered the store. Frank used his strength to fight them off, and in the process, he received a free bottle of alcohol. On the way, he met some women who wanted him to protect them from the city's thugs. Frank jokingly asked if he was a servant of their father's. They said no, he was a good person who avoided hurting anyone's feelings. But what about his feelings? People were making fun of him from the beginning. That's how it is with good people here. He wanted justice for his friend Nick, but the police were not working on his case, maybe because Nick wasn't rich and he was black. This is the reality of America's police system, which mainly works for white people. After that, Frank went to the police station and asked about the progress in his friend's case, but he received the same answer, that they were working on it and to see what kind of progress was being made. Seeing this, Frank realized that he would have to take the law into his own hands. He started searching for the people who had shot Nick. And he found a locket at the crime location, which led him to the junkyard. He learned from the junkyard owner that the locket belongs to a lady who lives nearby. So he went to meet the husband of the lady who lives next to the locket. But her husband was not at home, and the lady scolded her husband a lot because he hadn't been home for weeks. By the way, her husband's name is Terrence, and he plays basketball at the Pasquet basketball court. So Frank went to the basketball court. Many people were playing basketball there. Frank asked them about Terrence, and they started swearing at Frank. Then a tall guy stepped forward, and look at this. Then Frank beat up a couple of guys, which gave him a good lead about Terrence. Now he had to find a guy named Ronaldo, who would most probably know where Terrence is hiding at the moment. Frank went to Ronaldo's house, but instead of Ronaldo, he found his roommate, who told him that Ronaldo comes to the Velvet Club every morning. So now Frank had to wait until tomorrow to meet Ronaldo. On the other hand, gangster boss Panther was shown meeting a high-ranking minister in the city. Both of them were very worried because they had lost the pan drive. If they didn't find that pan drive, they would suffer a loss worth millions. Meanwhile, Frank got interested in his neighbor, who was unhappy with her husband. So Frank went to help her. They had a nice conversation, and the next day, Frank went to the Velvet Club to search for Ronaldo. When he asked about Ronaldo, people started getting angry at him. Frank didn't want to fight, but the guys forced him to. After the final brawl, they finally told him about Ronaldo, who was on the upper floor playing football with some guys. Unfortunately, the game ended quickly, but finally, Frank found out Terrence's whereabouts. Terrence was dating a girl who worked as a masseuse, so now Frank had to find that masseuse girl. As soon as he arrived at her place, a muscular guy caught him. At first, Frank thought he would be crushed to death, but luckily, Frank turned out to be a skilled fighter. Then he went to his neighbor's daughter with the pan drive and discovered that it contained many important documents related to the city's properties. The bottom line is, if the gangsters get their hands on this pen drive, they will seize a significant part of the city. After that, Frank went to the massage parlor. He asked Tatiana about Terrence, but Tatiana only said that she had broken up with him. Then Frank followed it and reached its house, where he started hearing strange noises. Terrence was hiding there. Frank took him into a corner and asked him why he had killed Nick. Terrence refused to say anything, so Frank disposed of him in the disposal machine. He also revealed Sebastian's location. Now Frank was heading back home when he witnessed a fight in the neighborhood. He intimidated the husband of the neighbor and then the neighbor who got him. Frank fell in love with her again after 30 years, so the next day he dressed up and went to have lunch with her. They were having a good conversation when suddenly his son arrived and got involved in their dispute. Now Frank was ready to seek revenge. He went to the stronghold of the gangster boss Panther, where he encountered the official Black Panther. He tried to assert his dominance over Panther, but it didn't work. Panther tied him to a chair and tortured him like he was tortured during the Vietnam War. However, Frank had a simple answer to Panther's question about the location of the pen drive. He said the pen drive was in Panther's rear end. This statement angered Panther, and he set the electric shock on high voltage and went to kill Frank and his son. But Frank had already untied himself and set fire to the place using a lighter. After that, he started chasing Panther. Panther hijacked a bus, and Frank also managed to get a bus on loan from the driver, who was his fan. However, due to this fan following, his bus ended up in a terrible condition, something he had not anticipated. Panther started running towards Frank's house, and Frank chased Panther. They collided in the middle, and their fight became viral after someone recorded it. Now both of them wanted to kill Frank at any cost, but once again their lives were in danger. Panther entered his house, but Frank arrived just in time and saved his girlfriend, who had a 20-year-old injury. And then he became a hero again. Everyone realized how much trouble he had saved the whole city from. Finally, he received the love of his family, something he had never experienced before. So friends, how did you like this story? Comment and let us know. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. This is my real motivation. Give us love, and we will give you love. Okay then, bye-bye.